Hey guys, what's up? Today I'm going to be ranking all the episodes and start with the Bad Batch Season 2. I just decided to spice it up and actually just rank the episodes instead of just talking about them because I think I ranked the episodes of Bad Batch Season 1. So that's what we're going to do today. Let's just get straight into it. Okay, so last place is episode 5 of the season. I did not like this episode. I found this episode to be very boring and dragged out. I think people were comparing it to Indiana Jones, and if this is anything like Indiana Jones, then I do not want to watch Indiana Jones. Now, at the time, I thought, hey, why do we even get this episode? Okay, I don't really like Fee as a character. This is stupid. Okay, like this is no relevancy to the plot even at all. So why is it even here? Well, it turns out since the last few episodes, I guess this does kind of have some plot relevancy because then the Batch actually do need to get to know Fee for her to offer them a home on Pabu. But just because it's relevant to the plot doesn't mean it's good either. It was still boring, and they still probably could have gone on a different, more fun adventure with Fee to get to know them. I can't even remember much about this episode to really talk about it, but you get the deal. Don't like it. I mean, the ending, I think they like wake up like an ancient robot or something that comes and destroys the planet, and then they leave and just kind of let it roam about there. I mean, I'm pretty sure it was an uninhabited planet, but you know what? I mean, fine, Bad Batch just go and causing trouble on an innocent planet, you know? Just another day for the Bad Batch. So not only is this my least favorite episode of the season, but actually my least favorite episode of the show overall, unfortunately. Okay, so next up is season 2, episode 2 of the Bad Batch. So yeah, this is the second episode of the 2 episodes arc. I guess at the beginning of the show, these 2 episodes came out on the same day, and this episode isn't really that great. I was looking forward to these 2 episodes. They were the first 2 episodes of the Bad Batch season 2, and although the other two duo episode releases were good, 7 and 8, and 15 and 16 were great. This one just isn't as great. Okay, they made this old man, okay, and he lets them stay at their house, and Omega goes back for the treasure because not treasure, but like they were hunting for some treasure on this on Dooku's home planet, and they fell down the crate onto the ground, and okay, you know, I'm not going to explain the plot to you. You should have watched this episode. Yeah, I don't know, it was weird, and Hunter and Wrecker are trying to get out of the planet as well, and their plot just isn't really interesting either. And overall, this isn't really that great. I mean, I do love it a lot more than episode 5, but it still wasn't great. There's this cool crystal that Mega looks into. I didn't even know what the point with that was, but yeah, whatever. It was some sort of jewel. It was basically to represent how Dooku kind of failed to protect his people overall, and it's kind of sad. And we already saw what how he kind of turned to the dark side in Tales of the Jedi, and we kind of felt some sympathy for him there. And now the Bad Batch is kind of going back to looking back at him as a villain because, of course, the Bad Batch don't understand what he went through. So I think it was interesting. Tech got injured as well, which is interesting. I think he like injured a part of his leg that like is really serious, and if you did actually break that in real life, then yeah, you shouldn't be able to walk anymore, bro. Tech is strong. Like seriously, how did he be able to survive that injury and walk at the same time? That doesn't make any sense. So Tech's pretty strong. This is the start. This is the start of the show actually starting to humanize Tech a little bit. And although Echo has gotten a lot of personality in the past in the Clone Wars and stuff, he still didn't really have that much personality, or not personality, but he didn't really have that much focus in season 1. But now we actually get a lot of focus of him in this arc. Okay, and there's a nice moment between him and Omega, and it kind of sets up what he's gonna do for the rest of the season as well, with him trying to lead the clones and save his brothers, which is very interesting. So yeah, I guess this episode is pretty good in some areas, okay, but still just isn't great in my opinion. It is kind of a bit boring, and I really wish it wasn't. Okay, if it wasn't boring, and it might have actually been a pretty good episode. Also, the ending is pretty cool. Crosshair apparently did not rat out his brothers to the Empire, and he let the Empire think that they were all dead. So that's very interesting. And Rampart is not about that. So he literally just kills Wilco, the commander, in charge of Sereno, and he kills him. Okay, because he's going to file in a report that the Bad Batch is actually alive. So that's very interesting. So that means that Wilco probably isn't the best of clones, kind of like Crosshair in a way that he disobeyed his chip, but like he still didn't like go against the Empire. He was like, nah, I'm not gonna file in a report. So he's able to have free will, but he still doesn't go against the Empire. So Well, I mean, whatever. So next up is the season 2 premiere episode, episode 1 of the season. Yeah, if you haven't already gotten. Next up at number 14 is season 2, episode 1. Yeah, I did not really like the first two episodes of the season. I mean, not that I don't like them, but I felt like they were very disappointing in a lot of areas. I like the first scene where Tech is hanging out with Omega and teaching her stuff. Literally, like 2 seconds into the season, we're already getting more characterization and stuff for Tech, um, which is pretty cool. New character designs for all the characters. It's pretty cool. We got this scene in the trailers, and I wasn't that surprised to see that it was like the opening scene of this episode. It's like, yeah, this kind of feels like an opening scene right in the middle of a mission. Back into the action. We get introduced to a lot of stuff this episode. Okay, we get back introduced to the new character designs and everything, and stuff, and Fee as well. So that's cool. Really didn't think much of her at first, but I mean, I guess she's a cool character. Yeah, it's really weird seeing Fee like flirt with Tech in this season. It's always just been really, really weird. Like seriously, I don't really understand. So the group go to Sereno in this episode, and I guess they were there. They were there in the last episode, but whatever. I'm going to be discussing that. Sereno is Count Dooku's home world, which is pretty awesome. So that's pretty cool. And I'm just like, nah, I'm not gonna go. And then the rest are like, hey, we're gonna convince Hunter to let us go. And it's just kind of, I don't know, it feels a little bit weird. Like, kind of feel like there was like they were actually gonna spend some time trying to get Hunter to get let them go on the mission. Then it's like, and I guess we can go on the mission like straight away. It just felt weird. Whatever, it just kind of just felt like, yeah, Bad Batch regular mission, yeah, not nearly as good as the season 1 premiere, unfortunately. I was a bit worried at the beginning of the season that the season was just going to be very fillery and stuff, and maybe have a bit of stuff about the clones and overall and that stuff, but overall just be a lot more filler, even more filler than season 1. Because even though I don't really have a problem with filler, I still don't want it to be like the whole season. Okay, I want some meat in there as well. And to be honest, the season premiere was kind of fillery. Like, did we really need this? No, like it's just, I don't know. I was expecting a little bit more from the first two episodes, but I'm not really complaining though. These two episodes were fine, I guess. At least they beat out episode 5 of the season, but that it's not really an impressive feat. They visit Count Dooku's like office that we see in the Clone Wars though. That was a really cool moment. I did love that. Okay, next up we have the 4th episode of season 2. Yeah, I usually just call this the pod racing episode, even though it's not really about pod racing. It's these other vehicles that are racing. I think my favorite part of this episode is just when a member of the crowd just gets shot out of nowhere. That was really, really fun, to be honest. I love death. And the droid that was in the race was actually kind of fun. I did like him and how he kept falling apart and all that, and Tech had to race in the races. And yeah, I mean, this was pretty good characterization for him, as I see him actually doing something useful instead of just talking about the plot. But there's still a lot more characterization from Tech this season that I need to cover. Yeah, I mean it is kind of filler, I guess, but I don't really mind filler. I think this is a pretty good episode in my opinion. Okay, I liked it. Okay, we're getting to the good episodes already. Okay, isn't that amazing? This season is pretty strong overall, and it's not completely worthless. Well, I mean, episode was never going to be worthless without this, but I mean, it's not complete filler. Okay, the dude with 2 horns, he says that Sid's probably going to betray them. Okay, kind of warning them off and stuff, kind of setting them up for what they're going to be doing later on in the season. And he ends up being right. Okay, spoiler alert: in the last episode, Sid does betray them to the Empire. So yeah, I mean, we all know it was coming anyway, but I'm just saying. Next up, my God, kill me. Next up is episode 13 of season 2. Yeah, I don't know why I said of season 2. These are only season 2 episodes. So the first scene literally includes Fee, so, not the best start, and she's on a mission doing some dealings with Omega beside her, which is, I guess, pretty cool. And I guess it shows that they've kind of been going on a few missions and kind of getting along well. And apparently they abandoned Sid off screen. I would have liked, well, I guess I would have liked to see them do it on screen, but I guess it wasn't really something they did on screen. They just kind of stopped talking to her, which I guess makes sense. Instead of saying, no, we're going to abandon you, Sid, they just stopped talking to her. That makes more sense. And Fee actually offers her a home on Pabu, which kind of comes out of nowhere. Like, yeah, I mean, this is a bit weird. What? I was kind of confused. I thought her and Sid were friends and kind of like allies, but I guess not really. In a way, I don't know, it's weird. So, yeah. The whole episode's on Pabu and everything, and it is actually kind of convenient that they just have another child Omega's age there, but whatever. It's a nice island and everything, and it kind of shows what the Bad Batch will be like if they kind of settle down a little bit, which is pretty cool in my opinion. The island looks really, really nice. Like, seriously, the animation is absolutely amazing. It has improved so much since the Clone Wars. Even since season 7 of the Clone Wars, it's improved a lot. Yeah, so apparently the Empire cannot find this place because, yeah, I forgot the reason. Okay, when the earthquake was going to happen, actually, I thought it was the Empire finding them, and kind of glad it wasn't because that would just be too convenient. But it still is kind of convenient that a tsunami does come, or exactly when the Bad Batch is there. That is pretty convenient. But yeah, this kind of shows what the Bad Batch will be leaving behind next season when they eventually don't pick this path and go the easy path. Okay, this is showing what the Bad Batch will be, walking away from in a way. So it's a pretty nice episode. Get to see more tech and free action as well. The animation is absolutely amazing in this episode, especially with the island and everything. And overall, it's pretty good. I mean, it definitely doesn't hold a candle to some of the best episodes of the season, but it still is good. Okay. Next up on our list is episode 10. Now this directly follows episode 9, but it's a pretty good episode. Okay, we meet Mako, who's like got in control of all of his like slaves. I don't really know how to explain it. We found out that one of Mako's slaves actually stole the Bad Batcher's ship, which was stolen in the last episode, so that's pretty interesting. I wasn't really expecting when they get back to their ship like this soon in the episode. I actually expected their ship to just be stolen altogether, maybe by someone like someone of Sid's people. So yeah. When I mean Sid's people, I mean someone who was hired by Sid. Stupid dope. This episode and episode 13 were pretty close. I think this just beat out that episode just a little bit because I felt like there was a lot more going on here and stuff. And it was actually really cool to see everyone rise up against Mako and all that. And that was pretty cool. Not really much to talk about here. Just a good episode in my opinion. Okay, and I kind of knew that the boy would actually betray them. Like seriously, like that was really, really predictable. Like who wouldn't be able to see that from a mile away? Okay, I was able to see it from a mile away. I mean, it was pretty sad seeing Mako give out everyone the same people, the same portions over and over again, or like the same prizes, and the same people get ignored all the time. Like seriously, man, it was kind of sad. And Mako's just kind of those guys who are just it's just designed for you to hate them. Okay, and I've heard this. I think Stars Explained say this. There's a reason why Obi-Wan calls this the Dark Times. It isn't just because the Empire's around. Okay, like the Empire affects others like Mako to kind of act worse and stuff like Sid as well, which we'll see in the finale when I eventually talk about that. It's a very interesting concept. Next up is episode 6 of the season. This was pretty good. Had the return of Gungi. Now I haven't actually watched the Clone Wars episodes with Gungi in them. Haven't really gotten around to that yet in season 5. Need to get around to it, but calm down, guys. I'll get there eventually. And there was some cool robots here. No. I'm sorry, droids here. Jesus Christ, I'm going rusty. They looked a lot like L337 from Solo, so that was pretty cool to see them. Yeah, Gungi's hostile towards the Bad Batch because they're clones. I would like to see how Gungi survived Order 66, but also we don't really need to see that. I just want to see that. So in this episode, the Bad Batch returned Gungi home and everything, and it was nice seeing the bonding moments between Omega and Gungi, mainly because actually Omega just kind of bonds with everybody they meet. Well, not everybody, but you know what I mean. She bonds with a lot of people in the show and makes friendships. She's that kind of person. Anyway, this episode takes footage and assets from the cancelled Clone Wars Kashyyyk episodes from the original planned seasons 7 and 8, which is pretty cool. They had, instead of the Bad Batch fighting clones and Trandoshan's, it was supposed to be Bad Batch returning in the Clone Wars show to fight the droids and the Trandoshans alongside other clones, I think. So it was cool that they kind of didn't let that footage go to waste and actually put it towards something better here. Yeah, I kind of feel like this arc might have felt a bit stretched out if it was in the Clone Wars because it kind of fits well in here into one episode. But I'm pretty sure there probably was a lot more big scale battles, and Yoda was going to be in it. The arc was actually supposed to like document like say like why he had such a good relationship with the Wookiees and all that. So that was pretty cool. Well, no, that wasn't really cool. It would have been really cool. I like the line from Hunter at the end that says that it's kind of hard for these children to actually enjoy life when they're running around here across the galaxy, hiding for the Empire and that, and yeah, it's pretty true. And the action in this episode is pretty cool as well. Okay, so next up is season 2, episode 9. This was a very big character-driven episode, and the whole episode takes place in this big like desert planet and all that. And this is the first episode with Echo gone away, helping out Rex, and it kind of feels that the team is kind of unorganized. They kind of lost a member there, and they kind of feel a bit lost since they only have like 3 real members and a child. We see Omega very sad in the episode because she misses Echo and all that, which is pretty sad. And it doesn't help that someone stole their ship, which I did talk about a few minutes ago when I covered episode 10 anyway. So yeah, and then like a big tornado comes and there's a bunch of deers running across there. So they end up getting trapped in a cave, and it's pretty sad. And Tech's like, Omega, what are you so angry about, okay? It doesn't matter, we're trapped in the cave, Echo's gone, the ship's gone. Like, what are you so sad about, man? Like, we're all good. And Omega's hurt by this, so that she kind of goes and mines the stuff on her own, like I was saying earlier. I don't know why I said it earlier instead of talking about the deers and stone first, but whatever, man. And yeah, it kind of feels like Hunter and Omega, not Hunter and Omega, Hunter and Wrecker understand what Omega's going through, but they kind of need Tech to realize that. Like, I feel like Wrecker might have been similar to Tech in this way, but no, I feel like Wrecker kind of has gone through a lot of character development, especially in like the first season. So Tech goes after Omega, and then again they're falling down this big lake and getting washed away. I cannot believe that they did not die. Like, what? It's like they have very big plot armor, but I mean, technically not for the last episode. We'll talk about that later. Whatever. So when they were down here, Tech and Omega have a very big bonding moment. It was great, and I really like Tech in this episode. He says that although he doesn't react to these things like Omega does, he kind of reacts to these events kind of more of an adult way, kind of more internally. It still doesn't mean that he doesn't care about Echo or care about Cross or care about the ship that they lost. He still cares about these things. He just doesn't open up about his opinions as much and about his feelings. It was great development for both Omega and Tech, and it was great because I feel like in season 1, they didn't really have much interactions or really have much of a connection. Like, if I remember that in episode 8, Omega's like, hey, Tech, what was the role really like? And Tech just kind of gave like a very bland response, and that was it. But in this season, they have so much more, especially when Tech gives Omega flying lessons in episode 14. So yeah, and then they get out of there, and Sid just doesn't send anyone to get them, apparently. So yeah, they just kind of have to wait around, which is very annoying. Sid just kind of abandoned them, which is, just very annoying. They were running around that cave the whole episode. And Sid just doesn't really care. Yeah, I uploaded a video saying I hate Sid, and up to the short channel when this episode came out. And it's true, I hate Sid. Fucking bitch. Whatever, on to the next episode. Okay, next up is season 2, episode 11. Now, this episode is very important because we actually see Mount Tantus. So this is the first time we're seeing it this season. Okay, we saw the end of season 1, but it's good to see it again. We get to see Lama Su, not Lama Su, but Nala Se. She's still here, and they're still trying to get her to participate in the Empire's experiments, but they can't do it without getting Omega. Because the Dr. Hemlock, the new villain of the series, thinks that was the only way to make her talk. Now, when I first saw Dr. Hemlock in this episode, I was kind of like, oh yeah, he's going to be kind of a villain, but like, he doesn't really seem that evil, but the last 3 episodes of the series definitely changed that. So the Empire is now after Omega. Well, actually, they find that out at the end of the episode when they actually talk to Lama Su, actually, so, oops. Whatever, so Sid tells them to go to this planet to, I guess, get some spare parts for her. This is actually the last Sid mission they ever do, because, and the next episode, not the next episode, the next episode is a crossover episode, but the next episode with the Bad Batch in it, they actually say that they have left Sid behind. So this is the very last Sid mission. It's actually a pretty good one as well. I actually really love them going into this area. It was very spooky and all that. Kind of felt like a better version of Entombed, which isn't very hard to do. Felt very spooky and creepy and all that. And they actually find that the Empire is cloning Zillo beasts, which was great actually. The Emperor Palpatine, not Emperor Palpatine, but Chancellor Palpatine at the time, at the end of season 2 of the Clone Wars, said that he was going to do that. And 10 years later, we actually see the clones of the Zilla Beast, so this is great fan service. And yeah, also these lasers apparently like make the Zilla Beast bigger or something. That was weird to see, but yeah. Whenever the Zilla Beast gets out and the Empire can have to control this area and kind of like arrest everyone who saw the evidence, which was great, seeing the Empire just come down and just kind of arrest everyone. That was great. And this thing where the Empire is trying to stop the Zilla Beast and kind of like knock it out or something that was kind of similar to the Republic doing that in the Clone Wars, but it just had a completely different feel to it. Also, Lama Su is apparently alive, and they didn't hear any blaster shots when the door closed on him last season. And like Empire say didn't have any need for him anymore, but didn't hear any blaster shots, so people speculated that he was still alive. And he is, which is interesting to see. Hopefully they have some use for him other than this small scene, like him and Lalithair in the first season a lot more. But overall, a great episode. Next up is Season 2, Episode 15. We have a really nice and kind of sad goodbye between Fi and Tech at the very beginning of this episode, and it's kind of sad, like, honestly. We don't see Fi's reaction to Tech dying, because he doesn't actually appear after this, which is interesting. Maybe she'll appear in Season 3, and I wonder what her role will be then. Whatever. So this episode is pretty recent, so I haven't had much time to really think on it really. But this is a really good episode. So they're trying to go and get intel on Hemlock's ship to decide to figure out where Mount Tantus is, and that's where they're holding Crosshair and all that. Little do they know that this will probably be their biggest failure ever. Hemlock is at a meeting at like Tarkin's kind of home base thingamabob, with other people there, and there's also Director Krennic, which is pretty cool. We see that cameo. They don't really get the intel on Hemlock's ship, and do kind of have to escape, unfortunately. They also run into Saw Gerrera, okay, which they got to run into the first episode, but man, now I really understand Saw's character. He just wants to blow things up and deal damage to the Empire without really considering the effects of that and how to actually win. Like, he just kind of does heavy blows to the Empire without really thinking it through. Like, me and Saw are not on good terms after this episode. Seriously, he's basically the reason Tech died, okay? Because that explosion basically kind of sent the cable cars into a big loop, and then everything just messed up. Yeah, and this is a big cliffhanger at the end of this episode. Honestly, this episode was just really, really good, okay? I felt really intense throughout. I felt, still in the season, so maybe something will happen. Maybe they'll all get captured, but wow. I'll talk a lot more at the end of this video about the finale. Next up is episode 14. The beginning of this episode was amazing. Seriously, we got to see so much great clones. We got a return of Echo, of course, and we see Howzer again, and a few other familiar clones. I can't really name them though. Oh yeah, Howzer. That's one we got to see. Yeah. We also see Crosshair at Mount Tantus, which is great. We see more of Dr. Hemlock, and this is one where we really start to love his character, seriously, in this episode. He made this like toxic gas that he's built an immunity to. I thought the scene was amazing. And Crosshair isn't telling him anything, okay? Although, Crosshair isn't the nicest person, even when he was back with the Empire. I still believe that he actually did, care for Omega back then, and he still does now, so that's nice. And this is when people started speculating that the female scientist that was watching over Crosshair in this episode was a clone as well, and that was confirmed in episode 16. So yeah, because he had this like the Kiwi accent that every other clone has. So yeah, that was interesting and kind of spoiled the surprise when she spoke, because she sounded exactly like Omega, just like a little bit more mature. It was also nice to get more of the clone network. It feels like it's been built up a lot since the last episode, and Senator Chuchi is like right there around as well. We see more of Pabu and the Bad Batch helping out and everything, and Tech giving Omega flying lessons. That was hilarious. And the Bad Batch are actually considering staying at Pabu, and that's going to be interesting to see next season how Omega has been captured and everything. And of course, Echo returns, and Omega's really, really happy with that. I feel like this episode really gets us hyped for the finale as well, especially with Dr. Hemlock talking to Tarkin, them talking about Crosshair and the whole Clone Network thing, and Echo returning. It was building up for something, okay? This is the perfect episode to lead up to the finale. Overall, it was a great episode, honestly. I was so happy to get this episode. Next up is Season 2, Episode 7, and this episode opens up on Coruscant, so you know it's going to be good. We have a few clones talking, and they're talking about Kamino, and like when I first saw this episode, I instantly knew I was going to love it, because I just loved how the clones' reaction to the aftermath of Kamino. They were the ones that destroyed their home. It's still so sad, man. I want to see more of the Senate. I guess we saw some in Andor, so it hasn't been that long. But it's interesting to see the Senate at this time in the Star Wars saga. It's kind of weird that the Senate scenes in Andor and Bad Batch are actually both really good, okay? And there is a surprise at one of the Senate scenes in the next episode, episode 8. But, we'll get to that when we get to that. And Palpatine isn't even here because he's busy with other stuff. I don't really know what, but maybe he's just looking out of a window of a Star Destroyer or something. And the protagonist of this episode is Senator Chuchi, that we saw a few times in the Clone Wars. I don't think anyone was expecting this. Actually, none of the Bad Batchers show up in this episode. I thought Crosshair was a sniper at the beginning of the episode, but no, he's an unidentified clone that we see at the end. And basically, everyone's not everyone. We're talking about no, but like Senator Chuchi is out for Rampart's ass because the clones are saying that hey, he actually blew up Kamino, so that's interesting. It's kind of sad that no one has the clones back, okay? Like except Senator Chuchi, okay, and I guess Bail Organa and a few other senators. They're like only one of the few. It's pretty sad, okay? Even though clones aren't really that old, so I don't know why exactly they're worrying about all this stuff right now. Like, the clones are still only, like, in their late 20s at best because of their advanced aging. Like, late 20s, that's not that old. I'm presuming that's how long after episode 3 this is. I love Umbrella Rampart in these few episodes. I always felt like he was in control of every scene he was in. Although he's kind of starting to lose it in this episode. Not with his temper. I mean, like everyone is starting to, realize what he was doing. We see Bail Organa again here. Yeah, he's actually showing up a lot in Star Wars recently. He was in Kenobi. He was in Tales of the Jedi. Now he's here. But I do like his character, so I'm fine with it. So Senator Chuchi meets up with the clone from earlier who was talking, and he was going to give her the information, but then he gets sniped by the sniper from earlier, and Senator Chuchi has to run, and she gets rescued by Captain Rex, which is awesome to see him again. Honestly, I've loved Captain Rex's character. It's really cool to see what he's doing around here at this period of time. And it's kind of sad that the unidentified clone actually kills himself by biting someone in his teeth or something like that. It's really weird. And apparently they're all fighting the wrong battle. I really want to find more about this unidentified clone, and I'm worried that we won't. Like, they kind of abandoned this in later episodes, which I feel like is one thing they kind of one thing is a missed opportunity. Yeah, this was a great episode, honestly. I just really want to find more about this clone. Maybe we'll find out more about it next season. Maybe they're setting up for something there. I don't know, but fingers crossed. Maybe we'll see some unidentified clone snipers or something, maybe being trained at like Mount Tantus or something, or something's going on. Who knows? Next up is Season 2, Episode 3, The Solidarity Clone. This episode was great. Honestly, after the two-parter season premiere, I was kind of worried about this season, but man, this episode was amazing. The first episode with Crosshair, and not even the best episode with Crosshair. Literally all episodes with Crosshair are amazing. We see here that he's really, really lonely and everything, and he's not a commander anymore because, I don't know, the Empire likes bullying him. Honestly, he deserves to be promoted for what he went through waiting on the landing platform for like a month. Seriously, it was like 30 rotations or something. That's insane. The Empire just doesn't care about Crosshair or really anyone else. Everyone here and everyone in the Empire below Palpatine is just expendable. Love seeing Cody in this episode, and he has this like weird looking gray armor, and it feels weird because I feel like it still feels yellow in my mind. It just kind of feels like the color has been removed, and it's hard to explain. It's weird, man. It's like the Republic was like all good and everything with all the colors they had in the armor. Now everything now with the new clone armor and Cody's new armor is just so gray and bleak. It's like, the Empire is evil, I know, but it's a good foreshadowing. Well, not foreshadowing, but more imagery. Anyway, Cody says that more clones will be disobeying the orders, and Carter is like, yeah, then they're traitors, okay? But yeah, I like how kind of close these guys are, okay? Cody knew the Bad Batch before the Season 7 arc, so presumably he's gone on some missions before with them, and I feel like Cody and Crosshair are good friends in this episode, and it feels like a classic Clone Wars episode, okay? clones go in and attack a droid base, and it's different this time because usually the clones are like, the good guys, but the droids are actually more morally in the right here, and I like seeing them again, honestly, because in recent Star Wars we haven't really been getting that much of the droids. We used to get them all the time in the Clone Wars, but then I guess we got them in the first episode of the Bad Batch, and now here. But other than that, we haven't really seen them at all. And it feels like a good story. Also, the droids do kind of put up some bit of a threat, and it's a good battle here as well, and it was pretty fun. Love seeing Cody and Crosshair team up. It was really cool. We also got to see Clone Commandos again. And they ended with Cody. It was great. I think Cody was handled very, very well in this episode. Okay, I always wondered what happened to him after Order 66. Like, I didn't know stuff that happened to him in Legends. Like, I don't know, he died with the Empire or something. I don't know. He was made into like a commando. I don't remember. I remember hearing something about that. So he tries to reason with the, I guess, governor of the system, kind of. I don't know. The Empire kind of wants to rule the system, but no, the actual governor's like, nah, man, I don't want the Empire here. Okay, Cody tries to reason with her, and he says if he lets the officer free, then he won't kill her, and then the officers just kill her. Okay, and Cody's like, no, man, come on. Cody really feels like a good person here. I do believe that a lot of clones would have the same mindset, and I feel that the chip has been wearing off on him. It's such a somber moment, okay? And then Crosshair actually kills her, which is amazing. Says a lot about Crosshair, okay? And I feel like this is kind of a moment where Crosshair was kind of saving Cody's back, because if Crosshair didn't do that, Cody probably wouldn't have killed her, and he probably would have been like executed for not obeying orders or something, or imprisoned or something. So Cody kind of, Crosshair kind of saved Cody's back there. And at the end, it's revealed that Cody went AWOL. I really wanted to see him for another time in this season, maybe meeting up with Rex or something, but unfortunately we didn't get that. So she is accepting, Crosshair is accepting his fate in this episode, I guess, accepting that he's probably going to be alone in the Empire forever, and it's kind of sad, okay? Not as sad as season 2, episode 12 that we'll get to soon. But the end of this episode is very sad. Crosshair's kind of alone. He's lost the Bad Batch, lost Cody, kind of lost everyone he really cared about, which is very, very sad. Next up is season 2, episode 8. I was really excited for this episode coming off of episode 7, because I knew it was just going to build off of that, and I was right. These last 3 episodes are some of the best episodes in Star Wars animation ever, even taking into consideration the Clone Wars episodes, which is really good. Like, none of season 1 actually reached this level, so it's pretty insane the Bad Batch did. Kind of strange how my least favorite parts about this episode are actually the parts with the Bad Batch in them, but it's still a pretty cool mission where they sneak into Rampart Star Destroyer and everything, and they actually go back to Coruscant. This episode was pretty good. I like who Omega was going around with Senator Chuchi when they're trying to get some information and stuff, and get this Kaminoan senator to get on their side. And I think we saw him occur in the Clone Wars, so that's interesting. It only crossed my mind now that Rampart and Omega never actually met, which is kind of lucky, because then Rampart would have saw Omega and was like, "Hey, I recognize you." But yeah, I'm still kind of surprised that he never even got like a glimpse of her at some point, but whatever, that's just a small plot hole. This episode kind of mixes politics and action very, very well, which I did love. And it's still cool in these episodes to see the destruction of Kamino and how everyone reacts to that and everything. This Kamino and this senator just doesn't really give a crap. So, but Omega was really hurt by this, okay? It was obvious from the past season, but it's pretty emotional seeing your home just get destroyed. Like, it has a lasting impact on you. In season 1, I would have liked people and others to show more emotion. It's just kind of Omega was like, oh no, our homes is getting destroyed, but no one else really cared at all, which is kind of disappointing. So Rampart is exposed, which I was not expecting. I thought they were going to fail at this, and Rampart was still going to go on to be the villain. But no, he actually gets kind of kicked out of the main villain spot halfway through the second season, which doesn't really happen that often. I mean, he will be replaced, but for now, for the few episodes, they wasn't really even main villain. That doesn't really matter anyway. Palpatine kind of actually makes an appearance, which I was kind of surprised, even though he showed up in the trailer. Actually, I'm still kind of annoyed that he showed up in the trailer. Like, come on, why couldn't this just be a surprise? But then again, I always did kind of forget that it did show up in the trailer. Like, yeah, like I always forgot about that, but he showed up in the very first trailer of this season. So yeah, he says, "Oh no, Rampart fired on Kamino. This wasn't even my fault. What the hell, man? The clones fired on their own home without even questioning the orders. Wow, yeah." So Palpatine, typical Palpatine, just throwing everybody under the bus, and Rampart just kind of gets kicked out of the show. This was great. Okay, like seriously, everyone is expendable but Palpatine. Just this episode proves it. So the Bad Batch technically succeeded, but then technically failed at the same time. Whatever. Anyway, and there was still a more gut wrenching moment at the end where Echo leaves the squad. I like how they were kind of foreshadowing this for the entire season, even for the very first episode, where Echo said he wanted to be doing more, especially for his brothers, and he's kind of foreshadowing this in this episode as well, asking Rex like, "What are you doing here? Like, what are you helping out the clones and stuff?" And yeah, he's actually joining Rex. This is a really good moment. I love the last scene where Emeka's just sitting in a room, just kind of sad. That was sad. Next up is season 2, episode 12. It's insane that both Crosshair episodes are better than any episode in season 1. Just think about that. Yeah, it's official. Season 2 is definitely better than season 1, in my opinion. This episode introduces Lieutenant Nolan, who's probably my least favorite character in all of existence. Even better than some of the other Imperial officers that I don't like. He is just the worst, and we'll get to him at the ending. But I really like this episode. Okay, it has a nice scenery of the snowy planet, kind of, and everyone kind of being alone here on this base, and that kind of representing Crosshair's feelings towards the Empire and all that. He's just, all alone. He's lost the Bad Batch. He's lost Cody. Okay, he doesn't want to get close to anyone, but Mayday breaks him. He actually breaks. He actually makes friends with Mayday and everything. He gets close to this clone, especially when he steps on the landmine and Mayday tries to comfort him and everything. It's a really nice moment. Yeah, I mean, Lieutenant Nolan literally says it about on this kind of trip to get some stolen goods, like all on their own. They have no troops with them. It's just them. So Lieutenant Nolan's a bitch. But then they find out they're literally going to get the armor for the TK troopers, literally armor for their replacements. This is just so heartbreaking, man. Seriously. Like, this is stupid. Like, the Empire does not care about the clones one bit. We lose at the beginning of the episode that they're just forcing these clones into retirement, and it's just depressing. We know how this all ends. We see Captain Rex in the Rebels show, and yeah, it's just sad. Okay, so they get hit by a snowstorm. Mayday nearly gets knocked out, but Crosshair brings them back to safety, which is just such a good moment. Okay, Mayday wants to be left for dead, but Crosshair actually acts like a good man. Okay. And I actually thought they were going to make it when they were going back closer to the base, but then reality sets in. The only one to greet them there is Lieutenant Nolan. Well, I guess there's some troopers are there, but they don't really matter. And yeah, he just lets Mayday die, and yeah, and it was a really, really sad sad moment. Okay, the music was just top tier here as well. This is probably my favorite moment in the second favorite moment in the entire show. Honestly, this is just amazing storytelling. This is finally the moment where Crosshair breaks and he kills Lieutenant Nolan, which I was so happy to see. Okay, and then he ends up in Mount Tantus at the end of that episode, which was insane. And yeah, that was the end of the episode, man. I was so unbelievably excited for the next episode after I watched that one. And at number 1, you probably all see this coming, but the final episode of the Bad Batch season 2. And geez, was just a very emotional one, especially towards the beginning. This probably is the best episode of the show. Yeah, it definitely beats out the first episode of season 1, which is my favorite episode of season 1. The beginning, of course, Tech officially dies, and it's just such a heartbreaking scene, man. Honestly, I thought it was very well built up. Of course, I've been talking about Tech this whole bloody video, but it was so emotional, man. Okay, they built him up as a very great character and all that, and then he just killed him off at the end of the episode just to make us sad, I guess. And I do think it mirrors 99, who he sacrificed himself for the better of his brothers and stuff, and I guess it fits in with the show, okay? Especially what Tech said earlier about we don't leave our brothers behind, and he sacrificed himself for his brothers, but just it's perfect. And of course, in Omega fashion, she is not happy with this whatsoever, and just really wants to get Tech back. But that's the reality of things. They're not going to get Tech back, probably not. I mean, he could have survived that fall, but I think it's just kind of a slap in the face if he does survive. Being come on, that basically just gets rid of the impact of his death. And we see AZ again, which I feel like he has been very underused this season. I really wanted him to be used a lot more, but whatever. The second half of this episode really subverted my expectations. I was not expecting them to go back to Sid, but they did. That rhymes, ha ha ha. I was kind of confused why they were there at first, but then I realized that it is for AZ to get help with to heal up Omega, and then Sid rats them out. Of course, okay. It was a pretty fitting end to the season. Sid has been building up for this for a very long time, and yeah, Sid betrays him, which is really sad. And I was thinking that they were just going to capture Hunter and the rest, and then it would just be they would capture Hunter and Wrecker, and it would be Echo, Omega, and AZ for the third season. But no, it's actually the opposite. Okay, Omega is the only one who gets captured and everything, and yeah, it completely subverted my expectations, which is great, and I think it works really well for the story. And now Omega's going to be at Mount Tantus with Crosshair, so can't wait for those interactions. I think we've seen. Some people have seen them in the trailer that was released at Celebration, but I have not seen that yet. I cannot wait to get some new looks to season 3, and apparently Palpatine is going to be season 3 as well, so that's cool. Whatever, overall, this episode was really, really good, and overall, the season was really, really good. But let's talk about the season overall now. Back to IRL, Alfie. So overall, Bad Batch Season 2 was way better than Season 1, in my opinion, and really felt like we got to know these characters a lot more, okay, especially Tech and Echo, and I just feel kind of more attached to the squad going into Season 3. I'm way more excited for Season 3 than I ever was for Season 2. And that's saying a lot, because I actually am one of the bigger fans of Bad Batch than a lot of people. I actually do enjoy the start of episodes. When Bad Batch good, it is really, really good. Like, sometimes it matches Clone Wars, which is saying something. Like, the final episode was really emotional in my opinion, and I cannot wait for next season. With Mount Tantus and everything that's going on with Omega, and it's going to be Palpatine visiting Mount Tantus. That's going to be very exciting. And yeah, guys, hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, smash that like button, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.